Hey there, CPO here, and today I have the pleasure of introducing you to the KST DS515MG. This is going to be my new tail servo for my Taro 450 Pro V2 heli build. If you haven't been on the forums, particularly Heli Freak, you may not be fully aware of why I need a tail servo. But I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. You can go check the forums for all the details if you haven't seen it. But essentially, as it turns out, during the build process, I ended up basically destroying my tail servo. Completely my fault. The original tail servo that I was using, the Fitec, I still think it's a fantastic servo. I have no reason to believe that that it would cause any problems in flight. Unfortunately, it never got to the flight stage, and it's my fault. I was doing some setup, and as you can imagine, if you've done any video work and video editing, there's quite a bit of overhead. For every 15 minutes of heli work, I spend several hours putting together video to put on the YouTube channel. So I had done the cyclic servo adjustments, adjusting the travel to avoid mechanical binding, and the next step was to adjust the tail servo limits to avoid mechanical binding. And in between the two, I decided to go up and upload video, and then I got distracted, started processing the video, and what I didn't realize at the time, I forgot to unplug the heli from the battery. The tail servo had power. The transmitter was still on. I just left everything. I walked away from the bench. I have no idea how that happened. I must have just been tired, distracted, what have you. I walked away from the heli, left it all powered up, and left the tail servo actually in a bound up position to the point where the entire time I was away from it, it was kind of fighting itself to get back to center, at which point it finally, I think, just burned up. And now when I apply power, all it does is scream at me. Even with no gears in, the motor is just toast. So my bad, I broke it. So I went on to the forums and basically put out a, oh darn, I need to find a new servo. I could not believe how gracious the people on the forums were. People were stepping up to donate money to buy a servo, offering to give me their servos off their kits that they had laying around. In the end, there was a proposal. A few people seemed to be interested in this KST DS515 servo. It's a little bit more of an expensive servo. It's about, I don't know, 65 bucks or so, which is a definite jump up from the Fitec $16 servo I was using, which I still think would have been a great servo for this build. But at any rate, people were kicking in money to donate to get this servo so that I could talk about it, install it, and then and see how it runs in the heli. What happened is I ended up connecting with Dave from TaroRCHeli.com, and that's taro-rc-heli.com. And I'll be darned if he didn't just donate the servo to the cause. So basically what I ended up with is this bad boy here to replace my Fitec that had a very short life and and a very violent death, apparently. The way it screams at me, it doesn't sound like it was too peaceful. And now I have the opportunity to check out this servo. Number one, a servo that I hadn't really heard of before. I hadn't really looked at it, but seems to be getting some interest. So this is it. I haven't even taken it out of the box yet because I want to show you guys as I do this. And then I'm going to work on getting my Fitec out and this new servo in. And I'll go through that whole thing because I'm kind of curious to see, after I did all my wiring, I tried to make it easy on myself replace parts. We'll see how easy on myself I made it now that I'm replacing a servo. So let's just crack this guy open here. We have the servo strapped down in this plastic case, and it feels like a higher end packaging than of course I was dealing with the Fitec, you know, a cardboard, little flimsy cardboard box versus you know, the plastic box. And then of course you have the usual assortment of servo arms and stars and discs. I'll probably end up using that wheel just like I used previously. I really like that. Maybe even use the same wheel. Who knows? I doubt it, but we'll see. But that's that. And then here's the servo. Nice solid metal framed servo. I do want to take these screws out. I'm curious if you remember the servos I used on the cyclics, the TGYs that had the metal base also had the potential for shorting out on this metal base. So I'm kind of curious if this runs the same potential. So I'm going to actually take it apart to take a look at the inside and see what that looks like. I want to know if I need to take the same precautions as I did with the Turnigy's. On the ratings for this, they basically have, and I'll go back here to this cover here. They basically have the operating voltage at 6 volts to 8.4 volts with the torque values and the speed values, as you can see there, from 6 to 8.4. So it's pretty fast, up to 0.05 seconds at 8.4 volts. Working frequency shows 333 hertz. Weight 35 grams, coreless motor, 2-ball bearings. So kind of similar dimensions and specifications to some of the other higher end servos like the Savics or what have you. And I'll have to do some checking to see if this is a direct clone of another popular servo or if it is really its own breed of servo. I'm interested in trying it out. It's got a little bit of heft to it. Not sure how it's going to compare against the Fitec. The Fitec had a plastic body, so I think there was some weight savings there. But from a size perspective, this will be a direct drop-in replacement in the tail carrier, so I don't have to use any adapters or anything like that, so that's handy, and can take a lot of power. My question was, can it take a little bit of power? Because I've got a 5.5 volt BEC, and this thing will pull a lot more than that, and I was concerned that it actually would not run at the lower voltage. But people are telling me that it should run fine. It just doesn't have the specifications called out for it, but it should still work fine. So that's it. Heck, I'm going to try it. I've got nothing to lose. Dave, appreciate it. Quick shout out, TaroRCHeli.com out in San Diego, California. If you're looking for a USA shipper or supplier of pretty much anything you need for your Taro helicopter, he seems to be the guy to go to right now, and I don't know how long this is going to last, but right now he's offering free shipping if you make your order on Mondays, Wednesdays, or Saturdays. So I actually have been paying attention to that. If I need things, I try and get them ordered up on one of those days, and he'll do free shipping, no minimum price. So, you know, you order a $3 part, you get free, you know, US mail shipping. That's pretty hot. So anyway, so Dave, I appreciate it. I mean, I'm still blown away by the response on the forums. You guys are amazing. You know, I haven't even flown this helicopter yet, and the support I have is just fantastic. So let me know if there's anything specific you want to know about this particular servo. And you know, eventually I'll be able to fly well enough to maybe give it a good test. But you know, don't be surprised if my first few flights are just you know, getting a feel for the heli and hovering in that, you know, that all important maiden flight. So I'm going to go ahead and work on getting that Fitec out of the heli so that I can install this KST. So let's do that next. Alright. So if you remember when I did the wiring and I finished this build, my plan was to make it so if I removed this one side panel, I will be able to replace any and all components and make any wiring changes I need. So we'll see if that is true to form. Have all these parts nice and thread locked in there. So I can feel those bonds breaking as I pop those loose. You can probably even hear it. So now I have some concerns that my screws are going to hold up, but I think these screws are big enough to be able to take it. You remember I did snap a servo mounting screw right here previously, and had to make a change on the rear servo because of that. So hopefully I don't run into any of those issues this time. But if we do, I'll just deal with it. So I have to remove this side panel because I have to be able to unplug the tail servo from the Robird fly barless system. And also another interesting note is you might remember if you looked at the wiring video, is I used amazing goop or shoe goo or whatever you want to call it, goo, to fasten those wires to the Robird so they wouldn't come out in vibration when the heli's running. The downside is I have to undo that now, and I haven't even flown the dang thing yet. But we'll get to see, and you'll see with me for the first time, how easy that is to get off, because I'm hoping it's going to be fairly easy to remove, but now I will have an opportunity to have empirical proof of its removability. And man, there's a lot of screws holding this thing together. The other thing I have here is this zip tie that I'll have to bust open so that I can pull that side panel off all the way. That's holding those two wires from the front cyclic servos to the side of the frame so that they don't come into contact at all with that main shaft. My wire bundle, though, is all self-contained. The Robird should easily just kind of slip out on its own little mounting plate, and there shouldn't be any problems there. All right, so that's it for the smaller heads, and now I'll remove from the larger. This is the actual mounting platform for the rear servo. These are just screws into plastic. And then this is also into plastic, which is that anti-rotation bracket. That's all the screws on this side. I do need to flip this over and get these two screws on the servo mount so I can just pull it completely out. I'm going to free that thing up. All right. So this thing, as you can see, is completely loose with the exception of this one nut here. I'm going to need to loosen that up. Just a pair of pliers. And that's all out. Alright, so that's all loose. Now I'm held in exclusively by this little zip tie here. I'm just going to use a pair of cutters just to snip that. Alright, there's the side panel. Get those out of there. So that's what it all looks like on the inside, which is conveniently how I left it before I put it all together. Now with this out, I need to pop that ball off of the servo. So I can do this one of several ways. I think I'm going to use my ball link pliers. Just to get under here and pop it up. And then now that that's free, you can see how this goes in and is connected to the back. Now I'm going to pull this whole assembly out. And you can see what I have going on here. And how I've got the goo. This is the stuff I put across to keep it all from coming apart. So let me zoom in for you here. So you can see this goo. And basically the thought is that if I get a corner of it, the whole thing will just kind of peel off. And it is working. I need a pair of, let me get a pair of needle nose here. There we go. Now you can see it start to come off. I'm gonna say if I put a thicker layer, it might have been easier. But I think it's just a matter of getting a good grip on it. And basically what I'm doing is just working this stuff out of here. And that's it. So there's my goo that's dried on. Now all of my cords are released. So that's pretty cool. I'll put that back on. That's a pretty good seal. And all in all, not very difficult to get off. Takes a little bit of pressure. You can see how stretchy this stuff is. But yeah, I kind of dig it. So I'll definitely replace that when I put this thing back together. So now I need to find out which one is my center, which will be 1, 2, 3, 4. This guy right here. Oh, I didn't want the center, I wanted the tail. I'm a dummy. Let me put that center back in there. Make sure I keep it all in the right place. Alright, so that's all back. And basically my tail is now free. This thing, I actually took the gears out when I was messing with it. And then I put it back in simply to take pictures, and because I didn't want to uninstall it and really remove it until I got the new servo. So that's what that's like. I need to pull out these screws here. Kind of bummed I'm gonna have to waste this shrink tubing on here, but hey, now I'm gonna keep it. Spare servo case. I got you know, a spare connector if I need it. But that's that. Get you back out. So there we are. That was pretty much the removal of the existing tail servo. And the next thing I want to do, as I mentioned before, is I want to loosen up these screws on the bottom of this KST and see if I have to be concerned with any shortage opportunities in there. So I would like to think for a servo at this price point that's not something I'll have to worry about. But there's only one way to find out, and that's to check it. So that's what's next. All right. I'm going to thread lock these anyway because it's metal screws into metal housing. So that's kind of my mantra, is check them and thread lock them. Now it looks to me like this sticker is just going on the edge. And that pops right off. So that's what you have in there. Very similar to the TGYs as far as having that circuit board right there. It looks like it's protected with some sort of a glossy coating. I'm not sure if that's to prevent from electrical or not. What it does feel like is that is very solidly down below the mount point. I just don't see an issue here. It's definitely not as loose as the Turnigy servos were, where there was a potential for shorting them. I just don't see where it's going to have an opportunity to touch. So I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm going to leave it alone. I think that's the right approach for this. So I don't want to, you know, make any assumptions that there needs to be something done to these and then freak people out, because I don't really think that there does. It looks pretty solid to me. So I'm going to put these stickers back right where I found them. And then I'm going to apply a little bit of thread lock onto those screws and put it right back together. So based on what I see, while I don't recommend doing anything internally to shield the electronics like we did with the Turnigy's, I still recommend putting a little bit of thread locker on these screws just because it's metal to metal. So keep that in mind, and so that's what I'm going to do real quick here. All right, so that's it. The servo is basically back together. So the only thing I've done to these now is to thread lock these screws, and that's about it. So now what I want to do is plug it into the fly barless system, get the Robird software connected and into setup mode, and center this tail servo. So that's next on the agenda. I don't think I'll do that on camera. It's going to look exactly the same as it did whenever I set up the tail servo the last time. So just go back and look at that video. I'm not going to waste your time by doing it again. But I will take you through reinstalling everything back in the helicopter, putting the side panel back on, because you haven't seen that at all yet. So that's that. So appreciate it, and let me go center this servo, get the ball put on. All right, so I have this servo horn just about on. I haven't quite put in the center thread lock screw. One note, different than the Fitec, but similar to the Metal Gear cyclic servos, the TGYs. This is a metal screw into a metal gear, so it does require thread lock, so don't forget that. Alright, so that's it. It doesn't look centered, and that's because it's getting some influence from this Robird, and actually you can tell how moving the fly barless system impacts that tail servo. It's in a heading hold state, and right now it thinks the heading is that way. So if I move it, you can see how it interacts with the servo. So that's that. Just for fun, I'll show you what the Fitec sounds like, just so you can hear the difference. So this is a back to functional operational servo, this KST. Let me disconnect power from the heli. I'll pull this guy out of here. And then now you'll be able to hear what I heard when I was getting ready to go. Actually, I was getting ready to go to bed and forgot that I had this thing left plugged in after I was working on the video for a while. And you can hear. That is it. This thing is screaming. So I can't get it to do anything else other than that. So it's pretty much dead. So at any rate, doesn't matter. It's history. I still think it would have been a great little servo if I didn't kill it. So something's wrong with it. Maybe one day I'll figure out exactly if there's anything I can do to recover it. But for now, it goes in the spare parts bin. KST is going in. And then the next thing I want to do, and I'll do this probably real quick, and that's put some shrink tubing onto this just to make it look clean. So I'll do that. That's what I did the last one. Basically, I'm going to pull these this end connector off using like a little X-Acto knife underneath the tabs. Pull that off, slip the shrink tubing on, put the connector back on, and then heat it down into place. So I'll do that real quick, and then I'll be right back with you. Actually, I decided I'm going to show this to you. I don't know, it might be helpful for somebody to see this process. I actually don't know where my hobby knife is right now, so I found this old razor blade in the garage. So basically what I want to do is just slip it right underneath that tab, lift it up slightly, and then pull. So in this case, I remember that orange is on top. If the tabs are facing me. And that's it. Orange, red, brown. Orange is on top if it's facing me. And now that I have that, well, this stinks. I don't have any more of this long shrink tube that would be long enough to cover this whole wire. So I'm going to go a little bit, I don't know, ghetto. And I'm going to put together a couple different pieces and string them together. I have a skinny piece, a little bit fatter piece, and then I'm going to go with another little bitty skinny piece, and hopefully I can get them to at least lock in to make it look decent. I don't know, it's all about looks anyway. This is a little bit harder. These are pretty tight. I can't even fit all three connectors in this thing at once. It's so snug. So what I'm doing is putting in two connectors and then slipping the third one in underneath it. It takes a little bit of working. But once I get it up in here where I can tug on it, then I can slip it down the whole rest of the way. So I'll basically I'm going to melt it down just like that. And that should give me enough distance to be able to wrap back to the frame of the helicopter, which is really my goal, is just to make it look nice to that point. So so that's it. I'm going to do that. I wish I had another long piece, but I don't, so it is what it is. Alright, so that's what it looks like. Like I said, a little bit ghetto, but that's okay. Basically I have the larger piece tying the two smaller pieces together, and it's going to fold under just like that, and then this should tuck into the frame just like the other one did. So that's that. Now I need to put my connector back on, remembering I had orange on top as it was, the connector ends were facing me. Yeah, there we go. All right, those are locked into place. So that is ready to go into the carrier, the mount. So just like that, for the heli. And this is set at 90 through the Robird software. Again, this is going to be an 8mm distance from the servo ball to the center of the gear screw. So I got that back the way I wanted it. I ended up, this is the one I had off the Fitec. I ended up using the one off of the KST because the Fitec one didn't fit on there very easily, so I just ditched it. So let me put this on, and then we'll start putting everything back in the heli. All right, so this is what it looks like mounted back into the servo mount. Again, this is going to fold forward just like that, and we can start putting things back together. Before I mount that, though, I do want to plug this wire back into the Robird. Make sure I have it where I want it to run. Orange goes up. And that all looks good. And what I'm going to do now is run another bead of goo onto this, because I really liked the way that held and came off easy enough. So I'm going to have to kind of tip it, prop it up a little bit. Maybe I'll prop it up here on my transmitter. And it's a little messy. I'm going to put a lot of it on there. So I don't know if you can see this or not, but I've got quite a bit of goo on there. And I'm just going to let that dry.